Hey there, YouTube and world, how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing fantastic. Oh yeah, I'm doing fantastic here. About to unbox for you guys yet another Asterix comic book special edition. Asterix comic book special edition, meaning a very expensive Asterix comic book. So here we go. As usual, I used the internet to order this very special Asterix comic book. It's actually a very rare Asterix comic book. So, you guys know what it is by the title already. So, let's try to open this up and see. Oh yeah. Asterix and Caesar's Gift. So the reason this comic is very special, because as you can see it's wrapped up in plastic, and this is the very first Asterix comic book that I read as a child. If I remember correctly, I was in grade 5, and I was already a Tintin fan back then, but I had no idea who or what was Asterix. So when one of my classmates, he saw that I'm a big or huge Tintin comic book fan, he actually asked me if I have read Asterix. And I quite naturally asked him, what is Asterix? I have never heard of him. So what he did was bring an Asterix issue that he had and gave it to me when we were having class. So this is the time we exchanged comic books, in between classes. This when he took it out from his bag and gave it to me. This was the exact cover of Asterix and Caesar's Gift. This was the cover that I got, the very first Asterix comic book. And I was able to locate it on the internet and able to purchase it. So this is a treasure for me. I remember it exactly how it is. Published in USA. The only difference that this comic book has is this comic book is actually, it never got sold. This is actually an American version. It never got sold, and it stayed with the bookstore, and then it went around a lot of bookstores, and then it ended up on the internet, and I was able to locate it, luckily. But this book, I'm the very first person who bought this book after almost 44 years. There it is. You see that? 1977. So almost after 44 years, I was able to purchase this comic book brand new. You heard it right. This comic book is brand new. A 44-year-old brand new comic book. That's how lucky I am with this Asterix comic book. So, back to my story. When my friend gave me this Asterix comic book, and I started reading it once I got home. I started reading it after I did all my homeworks, of course, and I got hooked immediately with the drawing style. This panel, I remember it just like as I did when I was a kid, and this was what attracted me to the comic book. This big fonts and this drawing panel, this dark and yellow nighttime drawing and the illustration, and then this character really attracted me to the comic book of Asterix and what he said, and that's how I started reading Asterix. And the very first line I read, I started laughing. An Asterix comic book. That's the time I knew I have discovered gold in the comic book kingdom, of the comic book kingdom, I should say. So yeah, and then I started reading it, and I could not put it down. you know, I had to finish it, but I got tired. I fell asleep. I remember, and then the next day after school, I came back rushing home, had my lunch, and then before doing the homework, I had to keep on reading the Asterix comic book, and this was the adventure that I read. And ever since, I think I have read it countless times. I have read it so many times. This is one of the best Asterix adventures ever. Maybe because this was my very first adventure of Asterix comic book. That's why I got so hooked to it. But it's also because this adventure really stuck to my head. All the other Asterix adventures listed here is not as great as this adventure of Asterix and Caesar's Gift. Awesome adventure, really, really nice, really good. So, unfortunately, this is not a hardcover, but fortunately, this is the cover that I was looking for. So, I wanted a paperback edition for this Asterix adventure, so I got it, and I'm happy with it. I'm super lucky that I was able to find the exact cover because over the decade, this Asterix comic book cover art has changed significantly. You will not be able to locate this artwork on the internet or in any bookstore. So this is a very unique piece. All right. Stay cool, everybody, and stay fantastic. Oh yeah.